How did Bounty Killa, a product of the ghetto, became the most feared artist in dancehall's history?
Yo, one of the Eastside dancehall, Lincoln Terrage Records. One of the Talkai Town in dancehall, Lincoln Terrage Records. Your entourage, the meat you know eat from man, your ruggedness.
Bless up, and welcome back to Entourage Records. You're new via here, please consider subscribing. Turn on your post notification bell so whenever I make a new upload, you can be the first to be notified. How Bounty Killa became the most feared artist in dancehall history. Rodney Basil Price, alias Bounty Killa, hailed from Trenchtown, the heart of reggae and dancehall music. His parents, while struggling to make ends meet, moved out of the community from he was about 2 years old. They migrated to Callaloo Bed and Riverton City, respectively, until they found a place they call home in Seaview Gardens. Killa's mother, Miss Ivy, a homemaker and a prominent figure in his life, provided a great source of love and inspiration. She was also closely involved as a political delegate. His father had owned a sound system, so that's where Killa was first exposed to the music. From an early age, Rodney was very rebellious. As a teenager, he fell out of favor with his father over not getting a pair of shoes he desired. Killa rebelled by doing something that his parents didn't like, by starting to hang out with the older boys in the community. And these were some bad boys who sling guns. At the age of 14, he got shot by a stray bullet after being at the wrong place at the wrong time. This was when reality struck him and he had to turn to his father, who helped him. After leaving school, Bounty Killa was selling pillows and figurines with his older brother Bali, where they plied their trade mostly on the north coast from Ocho St. Anne, all the way up to Falmouth in Trelawney. During these times, as a youngster, Killa had tried himself at singing in the community, talent contest, the whole penny concert, and the whole works. But when he got older, he started to DJ and he went up against a bad DJ in Seaview Gardens, who by Killa's word had killed him lyrically. But this was just a blessing in disguise, because this was in and around the same time he had met Boom Dynamite, who was his first real inspiration as far as taking up the music seriously. Boom told Killa not to take the result of the clash seriously, but to grow from what had happened. He also advised him to take his talent to the studios where he can have a career for himself. So Killa, Boom Dynamite, and the Seaview Gardens Massive started to invest their time heavily in the studios until Boom first had a buzz, then Killa eventually had a look-in with a song called Them A Talk About Dub for Dub, but Double No Matter. But this was only the start of what was to come after Johnny Wonder took one of Killa's songs from Uncle T, King Jammy's brother, and ran with it in New York City. And this was when Bounty Killa got his big break. Killa's voice quickly became one of the voices most soundmen, radio, and producers wanted to hear. But Killa wasn't gonna have that all for himself without competition, because there was another artist who was known as a child star, and his name was Beenie Man. So Beenie Man was quickly climbing up the ladder as well and was looking for his first major breakthrough in dancehall. So he patterned or copied one of Killa's melody and did a song which also gave him a big break. Killa quickly got irate and went at Beenie Man with a slew of aggression in many different songs. In fact, Killa threatened to annihilate Beenie Man at the annual Sting Festival, the first night when they clashed at Stool of Anniversary in Portmore. After the first encounter, Killa realized Beenie Man wasn't a walkover or a pushover. So at Sting 1993, Killa walked out on Beenie Man's set after 25,000 people was calling out his name for the clash. A rivalry between these two artists had been established, and it was known throughout dancehall that these two artists despise each other's guts. Beenie Man quickly realized he couldn't take on Killa just by himself, especially with Killa's gun songs, and this was what the streets were calling for. So he and the Shocking Vibes label quickly recruited Silvercat from Clarendon to enforce that strength in the camp. Killa responded quickly with the Scare Them crew, but by this time, Killa was getting so dominant in dancehall, where other artists, producers, radio personnel, and soundmen were fearful of him. So Beenie Man's protege Silvercat had witnessed it firsthand, where he did a song and mentioned Bounty Killer's name, where Killa rushed him and threatened to hit him with a stone. Another artist, Merciless from Clarendon, came out sounding like Killa and didn't give him any glory in the beginning. So Killa made it very uncomfortable for him the very first time they met up, and Merciless spoke about this on the Entertainment Podcast with Muscle. So this is when word starts spread through dancehall that Killa is not somebody to mess with. Mr. Vegas was one of the next one in line who had went on a Sting concert and mentioned Bounty Killer's name. And even though Vegas had a successful career, he spoke of how he was afraid of Killa. He also talked about how Killa stopped him from getting on some rhythms and shows in dancehall because of Killa's power in the game. Mr. Lex, alias Lexus, also uttered some similar sentiments regarding how the fear of Bounty Killer in the dancehall fraternity helped to derail his career. There are many others, which included the likes of Terry Ganzi and a few other artists. But throughout the 90s, Bounty Killer's popularity and stronghold on dancehall had grown exponentially, where he had a say most times in the shaping of dancehall. In other words, Killa said what to be done and how it was supposed to be done because he had that power. But this was just the beginning of what was to come, because many artists out of fear and respect was closely aligned to Bounty Killer, where in 2003, Killa decided to go all in on dancehall, where he formed the Alliance, and this was like an helter-skelter, or can we say a takeover, with the top 10 artists in dancehall, except for Beenie Man, was part of Bounty Killer's dominance and monopoly. This was where Bounty Killer had gotten more powerful and more fearful, because Killa basically controlled 75% of what happened or will not happen in dancehall. So many artists who was not in the Alliance had to keep quiet and work with it, or fear of being blacklisted, where they couldn't record any new tracks, their music couldn't play on the radio, and they couldn't get to voice any dub plates for the prominent soundmen in the business. So Killa and the Alliance had locked down dancehall, and only Ninja Man, who was good with Killa at the time, sound off on the forming of the Alliance and spoke candidly about it. Ninja Man forward publicly and said, Killa, what you do? No right, because you basically control most of dancehall. And Ninja Man that point out say, no for other young artists then can't get no work. And if the artists do say Alliance, then can't get on certain stage shows and things of that nature. Because most of the time, Alliance forward with a package. And if you're not friends of the Alliance, you cannot be in that package. So when Ninja Man knocked out against the movement, it caused him and Bounty Killer to be at odds. And this was where it was said Killa and Ninja Man were supposed to clash at 2003 Sting. But Vybz Kartel, a member of the Alliance at the time, took on Ninja Man, and this was where Ninja Man was mauled and kicked down, and we can say beaten badly on stage. But 3 years after, in 2006, Vybz Kartel would leave the Alliance, and according to Ricky Trooper, Vybz Kartel faced the same karma. Because he said when Kartel left the Alliance, no radar man or sound man would take on Vybz Kartel project because of the fear of Bounty Killer's retaliation. So they had to beat the streets as foot soldiers, along with him playing Kartel songs as a rival to Bounty Killer. So the Alliance movement led by Bounty Killer had now became the gateway to busting artists in dancehall, or the gateway to surviving artists in dancehall, where they didn't have to recruit because many dancehall artists was always trying to be a member or friends of the alliance. Because if they weren't friends of the alliance, you were foes of the alliance. And the way dancehall artists and many producers and everybody affiliated with dancehall were so feared or were so fearful, they dare not to upset Bounty Killa. Because according to many people in dancehall, if you're a sound man, that means no dub plate for you. If you're a disc jockey, that means no jingles for you. If you're an artist, that means certain producers cannot voice you. And many people in dancehall utter this fear of Rodney Price, aka Bounty Killa, and how much powers he had in the business. So many people in dancehall been asking this question over and over again. How a little youth originated from the ghettos, rose to the ranks, and became the most fearful person in dancehall's history. If you are the subscribers, want to leave in the thoughts, leave in a comment in the comment section so we can talk about it. We've come to another video. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel those who haven't done so as yet. Also, please turn your post notification bell so whenever I make a new upload, you can be the first to be notified. Peace out, bless up. I'll definitely catch you in the next one.